y'all, it's Jeff. Well, I hope everybody's doing okay and staying healthy and all. I wanted to talk a little bit about Melissa Carone, and she was the one that was given testimony at that fake hearing there about the election fraud at her place in, I think it was Michigan, and the thing that she was trying to imply that actually happened there that created a fraud. And even though, she appeared, when she was giving her testimony, to appear, kind of intoxicated, as a lot of people say, and she certainly gave quite a performance of some bratty woman that, people would just laugh at if they ever met her in person. The thing is that, everybody's already kind of blew her theory out of the water, because nobody else that gave affidavits to fraud had anything similar to what she said in it, okay? And they didn't see any of that, what she was describing that happened at her voting center. And apparently she was there, she said, for a 24-hour shift. Okay, so, and she said there were 2 shifts, and I guess she was in both of them. So she spent the whole day there, election day, according to her. And so I wanted to kind of explain it here, so even a child can understand what she was trying to say that made everything so controversial here, because I think there's a lot of people out there that just ain't getting it. How this cheating thing simply could not have happened the way she said it did. And so I created this little picture thing here. Right. Try to focus that in here. And alrighty. I want to make sure you get a good view here. All right. So what I created here is a make-believe voting center here. You have the person that greets you at the door, you have the voting booth, and then you have the machine that you put the vote in when you're done marking it, okay? At least that's how it's done here where I live, okay? Now, I'm going to draw a man going in here, all right? Here's the guy going inside. Okay, so he's coming in, and this person says, can I, give me your name, or, let me see your ID or something, so they know who you are. And so he presents his paperwork. So that's one person that came in, right, to vote. And so he votes over here, comes to the booth, and he makes his ballot. He puts the ballot in the machine. That's one vote. Okay, so you got one person came in and they gave one vote. All right, somebody else comes in. Okay, they come inside, they get checked in. That's a second person, so here we have number 2. All right, they vote, they come to the machine, they deposit the vote, and now you have 2 votes in the machine that's been counted. Okay, somebody else comes in. All right, and they go and they meet the person at the desk. They ask, can I see your license? That's 3 people that have come in and voted, all right? And they vote in the booth, they put the paper in here, the machine reads it, so now we have 3 votes. Okay, so you get what I'm getting at, okay? 1 plus 1 equals the amount that votes that they're getting in the machine. Now, what Melissa Carone was suggesting here was that there were additional votes in the machine, right? Okay, let's just say here, just for the sake of this thing here, now there's 50 votes in that, okay? But only 3 people checked in over here, okay? And yet they found 50 volts in the machine. How is that possible? And I could tell you, they verified whether or not that machine got 50 volts because they checked with the lady, the person that greeted you at the door, and they found, hey, only 3 people came in here. So how could there be 50 volts in that machine that you say that was there? Okay? How can you say, because that's what she's claiming, is that there were more volts in the machine than there were people coming in. How would she know that there were 50 in that machine? Okay? And she can't even prove it. She couldn't even prove it. What she did say was that a truck, okay, that there was a bunch of trucks that came to during the day, the election day, and they were delivering food. But according to her, the truck was only half full of food, okay? Now, she didn't see this, mind you. She said she was outside smoking a cigarette, probably. She said she was outside smoking a cigarette, and she saw this truck come in, and they only hauled out enough food for half the people that were working inside the voting center, okay? She's speculating that there were extra ballots in the truck for Biden, and they took those ballots and they shoved them in this machine, and that brought that number up to 50. Now, of course, she's talking about a higher number than that, but I'm just, for the sake of argument here, to show you what she's saying. This is what she's saying happened. This is why there was more ballots here than what showed up here. Okay, so she said that there was not 1 but 3 trucks, I think it was, that showed up and they hauled out food, but there was only enough food for half the people that worked here. Okay, and she's speculating that was probably extra ballots in the truck, and that's why they only had room for half of, for food. And they took the other ballots and they shoved them into the machine when no one was looking. And that's why there was a discrepancy. But they checked that. They checked what was in the machine with what that came through the door, and they found that the machine was 99.9% accurate to what people were coming in numbers. So that means there wasn't 50 people in there. There was the 3, okay, that showed up, okay? There was 3 people, 3 votes that was there. Not 50, but 3. So it was accurate, all right? That's what they found out. She couldn't offer any proof to support what she was claiming that happened that day, okay? And so the judge threw her out her story as being, bogus. If you can't prove it, then we can't use it, all right? So that's what she's saying, that there was extra votes in the machine. And you can't cheat a system, because there's always checks and balances in the process that shows, how many people are voting, and everything. And in a system like this, okay, it's easy to double check to make sure all the numbers are adding up. And every place that they've gone to check this out, and they've recounted the votes over and over to make sure that the numbers here matched up, okay? And every place they went to, they couldn't find anything wrong. So that's why we say that was a legitimate election. There was no fraud. There was nothing done, okay, in that system. They went there and they got the information, and it matched up with the data that they got out of the machines. Now, the company that made these machines is telling that Melissa Carone to shut her mouth up and quit lying about the machines, because they are accurate and they cannot be tampered with, especially on the scale that she's talking about, because she's not talking about one place. She's on board saying that it's happened all over the country. Now, what are the odds of that happening all at the same time? I mean, look, when we had the 2000 election, we had the state of Florida that was being the jerk, right? But they didn't have the same problem happening in every state in the country. They couldn't do that in every country and get away with it. So, and if there was any cheating at all, one of those places would have got caught. There would have been a slip up somewhere, and they would have got caught, and the case would have been proven, without a doubt, it would have been proven fraudulent. Within a week, they'd have figured out somebody was fucking with the votes. That didn't happen. Every place that they checked, everything came out A-OK. There was nothing wrong. And yet, people still think that she's telling the truth, and the Trumpsters still think that she's got, facts and proof and evidence And even got the lawyer Powell coming out saying, "Oh, we got the cracking of all evidence," which never happened. There was no cracking. Nothing came out. You don't even hear her anymore now, do you? She's just kind of vanished into the dark, because she's been laughed out of her credibility. And so, Melissa Carone, another one that's kind of gone into obscurity now because she knows she's gotten caught. So the affidavit she signed under oath and penalty of being a perjury, where is she? Why aren't they going after her now? Because everything she said doesn't check out. So she lied. All right. And the funny thing is, folks, is that there's people that are willing to sit there and listen to somebody like that just run off at the mouth. Okay. And it felt like, you ever watch the WWF and you hear the wrestlers yelling and screaming and everything and acting like bandits? That's how Melissa Carone kind of come off. She sounded like one of those women on the WWF that just have a big mouth and they got all kinds of things to say and it's all nothing. It's all a lot of nothing. And Rudy Giuliani was sitting there next to her smiling because he knew that was bullshit she was saying. Okay, he understood what was going on. And yet, he just played along with it. The guy ought to be disbarred, if anything. And she needs to serve time there for her perjury under oath, if there was any oath, because the whole hearing was really a sham to begin with. Okay, it wasn't official. It was just a stupid show trial, with some people sitting out at a panel, and they're all discussing this thing like this is really a federal important thing to listen to, and it was all bullcrap. Every witness they brought up that testified that they saw things happen could not be proven. None of that could be proven. It was all hearsay, and it was just a speculation and theory, and there was nothing there at all. And so that's why people just need to understand that these Trump supporters are following a liar. They're following bullshit, and they ought to know better than that. But I think in a lot of cases they can't help themselves now because they're in for the penny, they're going in for the pound. And now that they're doing that, they have to believe the lies now. They don't have any choice but to believe the lies in order to justify what they're doing, because otherwise, if they can't believe in the cause or convince themselves that the cause is legit, then what are you really fighting for, right? All right, it just takes the wind right out of the sail, basically. All right, let's have a commercial break.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back. All right, so yesterday Trump gave a speech on TV. I guess it was 3-4 minutes long, seemingly begging his supporters not to be violent next week when they go out and start marching on all the capitals in the country. Okay, and the first thing that came to mind was, Jesus, why didn't you say that shit last week when the riots were happening? Instead he comes out and he says to these people, we love you and we support you and we're happy that you support us, but go home, or something. But he didn't really sound like he condemned what they were doing, and he didn't apologize at all in what was going on. But he didn't sound like he was trying to tell these people to go away or stop what they were doing. He just kind of gave his approval of them and ostensibly what they were doing. And So people really got pissed off at that. It says, well, you don't even sound like you really want them to stop. You want them to keep going ahead and doing what they're doing. Well, yesterday he gives a speech that should have been spoken last week when this stuff was going on fresh, all right? And of course, it was recorded. Remember, they told you that it was a recorded message, meaning that he had to prep for it. They wrote the script out for him to read off the teleprompter. Basically, it just didn't feel like it was a genuine, from the heart kind of message. Okay, it was all scripted for him, which is something he's good at because he's done such a good job at being a TV show host here for a game show thing that he had going. All right, so he reads this thing, and I know at the last part of it, of the speech, he made an attempt to kind of attack Twitter, saying that the first time in American history our freedom of speech is being attacked, and that's just sour grapes from saying, I want my Twitter account back, and he's still mad. Of all the things that's going on right now in America, the one thing he keeps going back on is that goddamn Twitter account. Can you imagine that's the one thing that he cares most about, is his damn Twitter account. He can't get online to talk about his bullshit, okay? He's got a vent. And that means he can't control himself. He has a compulsive habit of getting on Twitter and just spewing whatever random thought comes into his mind that pisses him off, and he's on there all night long doing that shit. And of course, it all gets put on the news the next day, and he knows that's going to get reported because anything the president says, either on Twitter or in an interview, is going to get reported by the press. So he knows he's got their attention. And that's why he wants his Twitter account back, all right? And I think he made some kind of a statement a while back about, he's gonna create his own internet media account company or whatever the hell he wants to, some kind of outfit like Twitter. He's gonna create his own, so that way you can get on there and say whatever goddamn lie that comes into your mind, and they won't censor you for it, right? But what people that support Trump don't understand is that this is not an attack on Trump from, these companies like Twitter that's blocked him or canceled his account. They're not breaking any laws because, as they should know, companies are entities in themselves. They don't have to follow, the same kind of rules that the rest of society around them has to, because that's government. They're not owned by the government, so they don't have to follow their guidelines, okay? So if they want to put sort of a pressure on people of what to censor what they say, they're allowed to do it. And when you sign up for an account on Twitter or Facebook or whatever thing you want to be on, they have a thing they want you to read before you click that you agree to their terms. And in that agreement, they have the right to block or censor anything that you put on there that they don't like. That's like threatening speech, pornography, anything that they can come up with that they don't want on their site. They can, if it's reported to them, they will block you so many times, and then after that, they cancel your account. How many times was Trump blocked, before this happened here last week? I mean, I remember there was like maybe 2 or 3 times that Twitter did something to him or gave him a warning or something like that for saying things on there that he shouldn't have been saying, that they were labeling as harmful or inaccurate comments and, inciting, fighting or something like that. Whatever it was, it didn't meet with their guidelines, and so they kept hammering his account, and he didn't like that, and finally they just suspended it for, I don't know, was it 24 hours or something? But he was mad. He's mad about that, and he's still mad about it, and so mad, in fact, that he couldn't even give that speech yesterday unless they put something in there at the bottom to give him reason to say something about that, which I know he probably wrote that part out, but the part above it, all the rest of it, somebody else wrote, because none of what he said actually sounded like anything he would say if it was done live, okay? That's not how he talks. We know how he talks. It doesn't sound like that, nice and organized and logical. He don't speak that, okay? So that was all just smoke screen is what it was. That way when the impeachment trial begins, they refer them to that stupid speech he gave yesterday and say, see, I wasn't trying to incite any violence. I didn't support it. That's like, waiting until after you throw the gas on the fire and then say, I didn't mean for that to explode like that. I wasn't trying to do that. So, of course his sycophants are going to side with him and say, see, yeah, he wasn't trying to incite. Because they're too dense. They can't read between the friggin' lines. They can't see what was really going on because they don't want to see. They don't want to know. All right? They want to believe what they believe, and they don't want to believe that they got sold up the river. They don't want to believe that they were told a bed of lies. They don't want to believe that they were stupid enough to think that he could be a president. Okay? Jesus, that's a lot of people that would have to admit that they screwed up. That they screwed up big on election day. Okay? And the fact is they should have known better because we knew the kind of man Donald Trump was before he ran for president. Everybody was laughing about the idea that this guy was running for president back then, even though the media seemed to enjoy airing his face on TV every night. Okay? And nobody expected him to win, so they didn't take him serious. And that was his advantage. Okay? Because he didn't sound serious. He sounded like he was trying to shoot himself in the foot, like he didn't want to win, and I don't think he really did. To be honest, I don't think he expected to win. But he just wanted to get out onto the road and say whatever thing came to his mind and just stir up the shitstorm. But what he didn't realize is there's a lot of people in this country that like that kind of talk, and they will follow that kind of talk and vote him in because they figure, oh, he talks from the heart. He knows what he's saying. He's not pretending. Well, he was pretending because he was pretending that he could be a president, and now that he's been a president, he's failed royally at it. Everything he said he was going to do, if he won, he hasn't done. Okay? Make America great again. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. Actually, it's gotten worse. If you want to ask a real opinion about it, things have gotten worse since he became president. The virus, of course, it ain't his fault, but the fact is he wasn't there when we needed him to be there to help us out. So in that way, he was responsible. But the thing is that the economy, was percolating along pretty much the way it was when he got in there. But there wasn't really much job creation, okay, because all the jobs that he supposedly created, we lost that and then some. All right, so, at the end of the day, at the end of his administration, he's going to leave this country in worse shape than when he got it. So Make America Great Again didn't happen with him. And certainly wouldn't have if we kept him in there for another 4 years. I can't imagine what more he could have done that could have changed what he did do, except to make what he's done worse, So... again, everything about this administration has been about lying about this, lying about that, lying to you, lying to me, lying to everybody. And the guy apparently is a compulsive liar. So that isn't really new to a politician, I guess. A lot of politicians spend a lot of time lying, but he does it even when we know that it's a lie, even when it's obvious to a clown, to a little dog that he's lying. He will stand by that lie to his dying breath, and thereby making his supporters stand by his lie to their dying breath. They want to die for his lie, okay? That's what they want. They're willing to go and sacrifice their freedom to support his lie, to overturn this country, to overturn an election, to overturn democracy, to support his lie, and they don't care about the consequences. And like I said the last video, a lot of these people have lost everything already under Trump, and they've got nothing left to lose. So they don't care if they get arrested and thrown in prison. How much worse can their life get, At least they're getting fed, right? And they have a place to sleep. Before they lost their home and their livelihoods and their jobs, and they don't have any money. So now these people are out on the street, waiting for a reason to get up every day. And now, somebody comes up to them and says, let's go march on the Capitol. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, let's go. So, you got a lot of people that showed up at this rally last week that have lost everything, and they don't care. A lot of them probably don't care that they even got arrested after they got found out who they were and where they were. And they just don't care. And by not caring about anything, you know, they obviously don't care anymore about the country. Of course, I can't say that, you know, government last year didn't give people reason to be angry at them, since seeing how a lot of people needed help and they were slow at giving it. But certainly what they did last week doesn't make any difference. Okay, it's not going to speed anything up. In fact, it's going to make things worse, because now law enforcement will be cracking down twice as hard on people, and people already say they don't like the idea of government getting involved in things like that. Well, you just created the problem now where it's going to happen. You don't like government interfering with your life. Well, now you just gave them a free ticket to come and you know, and check up on you and watch you everywhere you go now. So you open this Pandora's box. You can't close it now, because once you give government a little bit, they're going to keep that little bit, you know, until you give them a little bit more, you know, because government isn't a scalpel. It's a sledgehammer. Whenever they give out a law, it affects everybody. Or whenever they crack down on crime, it affects everybody. Whenever they crack down on, you know, free speech or something, it affects everybody. They just don't pick who did what. Okay, that's not how it works. So whenever you screw up, or whether you do something that irritates the government, you're making everybody's lives miserable. You know, and maybe that's what some of these people were doing last week. Maybe they were trying to make more things miserable for everybody in order to get more people on board with their cause. You know, maybe that's what the end result of all that last week was trying to make people more unhappy with the country and get more people signed up to side with them, to create this civil war, to create this coup in the country, to overturn an election and everything, you know, make a different government. Which I don't think anybody would want the kind of government they would create. So we'd end up having another fight over that, you know. But like I said, that's kind of what, you know, what it is. It's Donald Trump and his lies for 4 years, and now all the everything is coming home to roost now. And you know, now that he's going to be impeached, which they say is not going to happen until, you know, after Inauguration Day, it doesn't really matter to me if it happens before or after, as long as it happens, because we can't leave the perception out there in public that people can do this sort of thing and get away with it without repercussion. Okay, we can't set a precedent that just because this riot or, you know, this crime happened that Trump did just a week or so before he was going to leave office means, well, we can't do anything because he's going to leave anyway. No, he committed a crime and he has to pay for it, no matter if it happened, if they put him on trial for this a day or a week or a month after the fact. Okay, he still has to answer for it, because that's justice. And you know, when you hear people marching on the street, no justice, no peace. Well, here is a situation where we got to have justice so we can have peace, because as long as he's not answering for what he done, people are going to be grumbling and bitching and complaining about this for years to come, and it's just only going to stain the country further. So there's got to be justice in this situation, and there are Republicans that did side with the impeachment when they voted yesterday. I think there was between 10 and 15 or something like that. There was a few. And then there were some that said they despise what he did, but they're still standing with him, which to me doesn't make a damn bit of sense. But we still have that atmosphere of political polarization in our government that's keeping people, loyal and kissing Trump's butt, and for lack of a better way to say it. And that's the sad part. And I don't know how long it's going to take. If the truth will ever dawn on these people in years to come, I don't know. And the sad part of it is a lot of those people that were there last week were veterans. Some were active duty military. Some were policemen. There was a couple of politicians there from different states. I mean, you know, you had a very weird conglomeration of people at that event, and it made a lot of people kind of hesitate to say, you know, we got these people in our own offices and stuff like that. You know, what are we going to do here? We gotta root out. We gotta vet out these people to find out, you know, whether or not they're Trump loyalists and whether they should hold on to office or hold their jobs. You know, because there could be a danger. So, anyway, that's all I gotta say. So anyway, this is the end of the video, and if you want to comment or anything, just go ahead and do so, and I will get back to you when I can. And I hope everybody stays healthy out there, and keep wearing your masks, and be patient. I will talk to you later. Take care.